Welcome to Civils Online, your affordable personal coach. So the question is, women should not be allowed at places of worship. Yes. Or at least there should be restrictions even. Is it true? Let's go through today's session and let's find out. This is part of Civils exam informative series, and this is Indian women against discrimination. I repeat, Indian women against discrimination. Let's go through the session. So before going through the actual issue, let's see the basic things, the discrimination, what and why. So we should understand what is discrimination. So by going with its definition, the discrimination is treatment or making a distinction in favor of or against. That means that it could be positive or negative as well. A person or a thing based on the group, class, or category to which that person or thing is perceived to belong to rather than the individual merit. It can be positive or negative as we discussed. So it's actually treating a person based on a perceived category, that is a group, a class, or category, and we instead of the individual merit, we have to discriminate people based on individual merit, but instead of that we perceive, even it could not be the real one, we perceive that that particular person belongs to a particular group and we will discriminate against them. This is called discrimination. And coming to gender discrimination, this is also called as sexism. So sexism or gender discrimination is prejudice based on a person's sex or gender. So it can affect any gender, but it is particularly documented as affecting women and girls. The gender discrimination has been linked to stereotypes and gender roles and may include the belief that one sex or gender is intrinsically superior to the another. So in this gender discrimination, this feeling of superiority complex of one gender over the other will prevail. And extreme gender discrimination may foster sexual harassment, rape, and other forms of sexual violence. And Indian women's fight against discrimination. So Indian women, since many decades, even from before the independence, they have been fighting on different kinds of discrimination, whether at home or at political level or even in the society. They have been fighting different kinds of discriminations. So in today's presentation, in this presentation, we are going to discuss only about Indian women's fight against discrimination, particularly in the places of worship and on the religious practices and traditions where the women are discriminated based on their gender. So there was a recent issue. After that, it has grabbed nationwide attention, and there were a lot of debates in the social media and in the media, and it has brought other issues, similar issues, into focus again, and the debate has been going on throughout the country. So coming to this particular issue, a young woman climbed the restricted pedestal at Shani Shingnapur temple and offered her prayers. This happened on November 2015. So here you can see in this CCTV grab, there are grills that are separating the inner region of this temple. But generally women are not allowed into this inner region of the temple, and they are not allowed to offer prayers, and they should not touch the idol of the god. But surprisingly, the men are allowed to do that. They can enter inside and they can touch the idol even. But this young woman unknowingly climbed inside and offered her prayers. With this, all the issues started. The priests and villagers conducted purification ritual to the desecrated deity at the temple. They said that the deity's idol got desecrated because of the touch of the woman, and they performed a purification ritual with milk and other condiments. This has been telecasted over the TV, so it has outraged many citizens and groups, particularly one particular women's rights group assembled hundreds of women and tried to storm these temple premises, and they said they want to offer their prayers because they believe in God and they want to offer their prayers. They said it is their right to equality and their right to religious freedom. But the police stopped and arrested them. So recent similar issues elsewhere in the country on this backdrop. There are many issues like Haji Ali Dargah in Mumbai, where women were not allowed from entering different areas, and women in menstruating age not allowed in Ayyappa Temple, Shabrimala in Kerala. Even similar countless incidents across the country and world over, where the religious practices and traditions restrict women based on their gender. So, Shani Shingrapur Temple Trust even says this practice was there since the last 400 years, and they say even it is for the good of women only because they say there are vibrations from Shani Dev. And after these protests, they made a housewife, a woman, as the chairperson of this temple trust for the first time. And even this lady said she will protect the tradition of the temple of not allowing women. And the Haji Ali Dargah, the administration says they won't allow intermingling of men and women, and it is for the women's own safety only. That's what they said. And about Shabrimala temple, the ban actually has the legal backing as well. It is part of Kerala Hindu Places of Public Worship Rules 1965. Even the Kerala High Court had upheld the ban in 1991 and directed the Devaswam board to implement it. But recently there is a petition in Supreme Court against this practice of not allowing women into Shabrimala temple. And the petition said that it is a discrimination in the matters of entry into temples. It's actually not a ritual and also it's not a ceremony associated with Hindu religion, but actually it is anti-Hindu. That's what the petitioners claimed. They even said the religious denomination could only restrict entry into the sanctum sanctorium and could not ban complete entry into temple, making discrimination particularly on the basis of sex. That's what they said. Even they sought quashing of this rule, contending that the ban is violative of the fundamental rights such as Article 14, equality before law, 25 and 26, freedom of religion of the Constitution. Even they wanted the Supreme Court to lay down guidelines in the matters of gender inequality in religious practices at the places of worship. That's what they asked for. In this process, even the Shabrimala temple chief said he would allow women into the temple only when a machine is invented to detect if the women were pure, meaning they were not in the menstruating cycle. With this comment, outraged woman has launched a Happy to Bleed campaign in the social media to protest against this sexist statement of the temple chief. Even the Supreme Court asked whether the Vedas, Upanishads, and scriptures discriminate between men and women. The court questioned, is spirituality solely within the domain of men? Are you saying women are incapable of attaining spirituality within the domain of religion? Can you deprive a mother? Such kind of serious questions were asked by the court, and the case is still going on, and the outcome is awaited. There are many other countless incidents across the country and the world over. The major religions of the world, like Islam and Christianity, have got a lot of restrictions on women as part of their religious practices and traditions. The Vatican City, there were no women inside the Vatican City, but now I think they're allowing some women into the Vatican. Women are not allowed to become a pope in Roman Catholicism. Such kind of practices are there. Case in point, this is the issue. So the main issue is women are being discriminated only because of their gender in religious practices and places of worship. That is the issue. Let's go behind this issue and let's see what is the root cause and what is the solution, what is the way forward. This is the case in point. So with this issue, two groups formed with two different and opposite perspectives. One group says that women's and other citizens perspective is that they say they want to enter these temples, and there should not be any discrimination only based on the gender, and they say it is their constitutional right of equality and non-discrimination. They have human and legal rights as well, and they say these practices of these places of worship are completely irrational and discriminatory, and there is no logic behind them. That's what these women's and other citizens perspective. The opposite group has a completely different viewpoint. They say the religious entities say these are age-old traditions and customs, and these are part of religion as well. And they even say they have the fundamental right to manage their own religious affairs. No one can question them. And they even says it is for the good of women only such kind of practices prevail. So both the groups are talking about rights, particularly fundamental rights, constitutional rights. So let's see what the constitution says, what the fundamental rights are given to the citizens. So right to equality. So these are articles 14 and 15. 14 is equality before law, 15 is prohibition of discrimination on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. So state should not discriminate citizens on these lines. Further, no citizen is restricted access to public places like shops, restaurants, wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, places of public resort maintained by government funds, etc. So to public places, no one should be restricted. Moreover, there are special provisions for women, children, and backward classes. And there is equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. But even in this opportunity of public employment, there is no equality for women because women are not allowed as priests, etc., in temples because of these religious practices and customs. They have human and legal rights as well because right to life, liberty, and all those are very much human rights. And right to freedom of religion, this is Article 25. All persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and free profession, practice, and propagation of religion. So that means that everyone is free to profess, practice, and propagate their religion. So here the woman says they can practice their religion and no one can actually stop them from their practice. But there are certain restrictions like public order, morality, and health. State can regulate economic, financial, political, and other secular activity related to religion even. For reform and social welfare, throwing open Hindu religious institutions of public character to all classes and sections of Hindus. That's what the government can do. People have right to freedom of religion, but there are certain restrictions. And coming to Article 29, this fundamental right, that is freedom to manage religious affairs and to establish and maintain institutions. So these religious entities have their freedom to manage the religious affairs and no one can actually interfere in their affairs. So it seems that these fundamental rights, because even the women groups, women have their own rights, fundamental rights. Even these groups, the religious entities, the temple trusts have their own right to manage their own religious affairs. So there seems to be a rights dilemma. But if we observe keenly and if we know the correct definition of fundamental rights, why fundamental rights are given to the citizens and who are the actual beneficiaries and to whom against these fundamental rights are given. If we understand these points, this dilemma will go. So fundamental rights are for individuals or for the entities, but it is against the state action, not against private individuals and institutions. I repeat, fundamental rights are not against private individuals or institutions. So this is clear. So if you ask a private person that he or she is violating your fundamental right, no, this is not the fundamental right. I mean, you can't ask. If the state is depriving you of your fundamental rights, then you can question. In that case only you have the fundamental rights. And also, even in the before slide also, they said religious institutions of public character. Defining what is public character is also very much difficult. And also, what is state? what is state and what are state related entities. Defining such kind of thing is also very much complex. Courts have given a lot of judgments earlier, and but defining such kind of things is also difficult, which is a public body, which is a private body. So this is basically not a rights dilemma, because fundamental rights are not given against the private individuals or entities, but it is against the state. So the walk on the rope. So it's a tight walk, because there seems to be a conflict between freedom of religion and freedom to manage religious affairs. Even we have these such kind of questions like, can customs and practices take away the basic rights? Courts and governments not to interfere even when rights are violated? If even the courts and governments are interfering whenever there is violation of rights, we have another question: will too much interference will take away the essential nature of religion and religious institutions, which are very important part of social life? So these religious institutions are very much important for the society, right? They teach us what is good and bad. They keep the society in order in a way. I mean, they have their own contribution to the society. So religion, whoever believe in religion, those religious practices should be there. But if the government and courts if interfere too much into the religion, there will be bad consequences. Even the religion and religious denominations will have their own particular practices and traditions. These practices alone actually distinguish one religion, one religious denomination against the other. The followers actually follow these customs and traditions to attain their preset goals. So if you interfere too much in such kind of essential nature of the religion, these practices, it will take away the basic nature of that particular religion. So will that too much interference is needed? So, but we have all these questions and dilemmas. But if we look at the past cases and we think about the way forward, we will get some idea. Because these kind of issues are not new, because these questions are there from a very long time, even before the independence, and after independence also we have been debating and changing these things. We can see some examples from the past cases. White untouchability is prohibited and temple re-entry programs were introduced. Earlier, they even say it's part of their religious practice to follow the untouchability, but it was prohibited because we know how inhuman it is and how discriminatory it was. So it was completely prohibited. There was legal and constitutional backing as well, because untouchability is banned, even it's a fundamental right against untouchability. Temple re-entry programs were introduced. All sections of Hindu community can enter the temples. So it was started with the public temples, like the public temples which are attached to the endowments department actually first allowed re-entry, then even the private temple trust followed suit. But now no one, not even the state, not even the private individuals, no one can actually practice this inhuman form of untouchability, because we have the legal and constitutional provisions against it. So this has got changed, this practice got changed. So why sati custom is banned? Sati, so sati was a custom where the living wife had to die along with the dead body of the husband. Such kind of inhuman practice was there, but it was even really it was part of the practices and traditions of the religion even. But still we as a society we condemned it, and legally it was banned. So even widow remarriage is encouraged, which is ideally part of religious practices as well, where widows were not allowed for remarriage, but we reformed our society. So such there are numerous examples where even those religious practices and traditions were changed, reformed to the changing needs of the society. Past cases and way forward. Now, how courts and governments can come up with directives. Even courts and governments has their own role to play here, and they can come up with their own directives. But the best thing is the religious institutions can engage with communities and reform themselves from within, instead of someone else trying to reform them from outside, to change them from outside. These religious institutions, which are well connected with their communities, can actually talk, discuss, debate, and change, reform themselves according to the changing needs. Various interest groups like citizens, media, intellectuals, politicians, religious leaders, institutions can actually get together, can discuss, debate, educate, and resolve such kind of issues amicably. Uh, this is the way forward. The change is constant, so the anything has to reform itself to the changing needs of the society. So queries, if you have any queries, just leave your comments in the comment section of this video, or you can just directly contact us. Thank you. And Civils Online wishes you all happy Women's Day.